It will.
Wake up late, we don't care. JJ and Megan here to share. Sumo talk ain't no flair. Lazy vibes in the air. Might go stumble through. Sumo chat just for you. No script, no cue.
Hello,
Alright.
everyone.
Go ahead, Megan. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. This is the Minimum Effort Podcast with your host, Mencken, and the other guy, whatever his name is, and our special guest today, Scott from Clam Sumo. He has it on his shirt right there. His hoodie,
Bum, bum,
jumper.
bum, 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 bum. Nice.
All right, guys, thanks for having me on. I was just enjoying your wee intro there. That was great.
JJ worked hard on it.
Yeah, I prompted AI to make a song about two losers that decided to make a podcast, and they're lazy and they put in minimum effort. That was really the only prompt.
Isn't that everybody who makes a podcast pretty much two losers? Three, maybe?
I don't know. I can't. GSB is like a bunch of losers.
Podcast, so I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, you do a solo, so it's like one awesome person. But whenever it's like multiples, we're just trying to pick up the slack.
You spin it however you want, JJ. You spin it however you want.
For people who don't know Scott, can you introduce yourself for us?
Scott Findlay. I created World of Sumo. I'm sure that's how most people actually know who I am. That follow sumo wrestling anyway. Started World of Sumo on YouTube, following on Facebook. As an English source for sumo news and other sumo outlets and information and updates and stuff like that. And one thing led to another. Find myself doing amateur sumo. Become a British champion. Bring sumo to Scotland. Then got in amongst the European Sumo Federation. I'm on the athletes board for that. I brought British Sumo back for the brink of death. I'm now currently the president of Scottish Sumo and British Sumo right now.
Oh.
I'm trying to think what else. So people, I think that's pretty much it, lads. I was the commentator for the World Sumo Championships. This year, which I do love telling people because it was such an honour to do. I'm so grateful that I was lucky enough to get to do that. Sometimes a big mouth gets you somewhere, know what I mean?
That part. So you run a tournament, right? And I still
the Scottish Open. There you go. There, I'm forgetting things.
Yeah.
I created the Scottish Sumo Open because I attended an event. Well, I'm sure I will get to that, but I created the Scottish Sumo Open, which this year was the biggest international sumo tournament done for amateur sumo wrestlers that wasn't sanctioned by, like a big organisation like European, American, international, any of these. It wasn't like sanctioned by that. It was off like my own back. And that was number 2 this year as well.
How many different countries did you have represent in that tournament?
17 or 18. I'd need to check my book. 17 or 18. And the last one, one extra if you count that I had an Egyptian referee there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Counts, yeah. And I had 100 athletes all in. So that was this year, and I was really proud of that. That was really good. And I've got a lot of thanks to give to some other European countries who I might have became friends with because they attended the tournament, seen that I wasn't just some idiot that says, I'm going to do a sumo tournament. Some people took a chance on me and took me seriously, and I think that might be to do with that I had built World of Sumo for nothing. and maybe they seen that, you know, all right, well, he is genuine about sumo. I don't know why the people who put their trust in me did, because they could have turned up to a school gym hall with a mat on the floor. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I made sure that that wasn't the case. So by the second year, people actually wanted to come, and I've already got people asking me for the invitation right now.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
So during that tournament, you also had Keshi Mawashis. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Oh, well, I had seen a lot of people doing this sort of thing, and I had got the idea to do this at the Scottish Open for everybody. So every country that came, I was actually going to give their flag bearers a Kesho Mawashi wear. And I can't remember how many people I told about this idea. But about a month later, the Greeks who held the European Championships were doing it. And I was like that, whoa, like maybe two people had the same idea, I don't know. Right, so I'm not accusing anybody in, right, but I have got a big trap and may have told too many people. I don't know what happened there. Like I say, I'm just right now believing it was the same idea, but I sacked that because I didn't want to look like I was copying, and we had got Kesho Mawashis made for demonstrations and stuff, because especially when I'm involved in a lot of Japanese societies and communities here in Scotland. So the Japan Society of Scotland, I'm just about to work with the Japan Society of the Orkney Islands. I work with the Japan Consulate in Edinburgh. I've got friends who work there, and like they obviously I like borrowed a lot of their stuff for the Scottish Open, for the stalls, the decorations, and you know, the authentic Japanese style stuff around. And I went and done a demonstration and brought sumo wrestling to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for the first ever time. So especially when you do things like that, and the crowd is a lot of Japanese who live in Edinburgh, you want to bring a flavour and taste of authenticity, because there is so much that amateur sumo doesn't do like grand sumo, and you know how the Japanese are about it, and a lot of fans outside of Japan who like the authenticity and the dedication to, you know, all the rites and rituals and all of these things. So I definitely wanted to introduce something like that. Plus, you know, free billboards.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
How popular is sumo in Scotland?
Well, I mean, every single day it's more popular than it's ever been, because it was non-existent 2 years ago.
Right.
So when I first, obviously, like, there was one Scottish person involved in sumo before I was. It was a heavyweight. He'd done a couple of wee small tournaments. Nothing that anybody could ever remember the guy's name or what he even looked like. I think one photo of him survives. That's the only reason I know about him. But obviously, like, when I do anything, anybody that knows me could tell you, I either like sit in my butt and don't do anything, or I'm 100. It's all the way, fifth gear, all the way, straight through the walls, man. I like to think of myself as the person that kicks the gates down of the gatekeepers. Do you know what I mean? Like that's sort of what I done. I didn't wait for somebody to slam the gate in my face. I just went through. You know what I mean? So I made myself lose track of what we were even saying there.
That's all good. It's the most. So a lot of the popularity of sumo in Scotland is kind of
That was
starting
it. That's
grassroots,
where
right?
I was digressing before I sidetracked myself with my crap. So the popularity of sumo was non-existent in Scotland. And as I said, I went full hog, so I weighed like 69 kilograms when I first started sumo. And I went down, and at the time there was like two lightweights who they weren't really involved much anymore. So it was just me and a bunch of heavyweights, and I travelled all the way to England. Took like 11 hours to get there on public transport, and got my butt handed to me that night and then the next day for hours. And I couldn't walk for a week. At one time, I knelt down on the floor to pick something up, and I physically couldn't get up, physically couldn't move my legs again to stand up. I just had to sit on my side like the Little Mermaid on a rock for about 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So, but I knew right then, like, I wanted to do this so badly, because I'm super competitive. I love sumo, and I do not like to lose. So I made it my mission to put on a bit of weight and get stronger. So within like 3.5 months, I put like 30 kilos on.
Wow.
I did, mate. I absolutely was fully dedicated. I dedicated my life to just bulking up a wee bit, getting super athletic and strong because I just wanted to be at the top of my game. So while I was at 70 kilo, I'd done a couple of competitions and I didn't lose in any of the competitions because I'm tall as hell. I shouldn't be that skinny. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm like a big spider, so I could just hold people by the Mawashi back and they couldn't reach me, couldn't touch me. Wee tiny 70 kilo man couldn't get near me. You know what I mean? It's one of the holding head moments. So when I moved up, it was definitely a bigger challenge, but I really enjoyed it. And I went back down and I trained again. And then COVID hit as well. And it was a lot of online training and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So while all that was going on, cracks started to show within the sumo community and stuff like that. Within British sumo, which I'm sure we're going to touch on and mention on things in a minute. But I'll get back to the popularity of sumo in Scotland before I digress too much again. So in a nutshell, when all that was happening, I realised that having to video these training sessions and being so trapped and so far away, because really British sumo was English sumo, right? So I just wanted to make sure that if any other Scottish people wanted to get involved, there was an outlet.
Right.
So one guy reached out on Facebook, another guy who was American who did sumo actually tagged me in the guy's comment. Led to me, him, and another friend of mine training together. Because when Scottish Sumo started, it was 2 guys in 1 weightlifting belt.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And now we've got 15 regular, like fully dedicated team members who compete, and people who come and go all the time. Opening another club in Edinburgh and about to open another club up north in Peterhead for the people up there to be Grampian Sumo up that way. And just little by little. So the Scottish Sumo Open, advertising, working social media, showing that you actually know what you're talking about and like introducing this, because the amount of people that look at me, and it doesn't matter if I was another 20 kilos heavier, I don't look like a sumo wrestler. Do you know what I mean? But people don't realise in amateur there's weight classes and it's all shapes and sizes and genders.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So little by little you start to push more. I do little fundraising events and stuff like that. Basically, I grinded till eventually I started to get the sport taken more seriously. More people come out the woodwork who didn't join because, again, British sumo was English sumo and you had to travel overnight to another country, basically, if you wanted to even have a practice session. And before I knew it, it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And I have got a really strong team and set of supporters around me as well. So I've been really lucky in that regard, because see, without that support system and network, it doesn't matter how dedicated you are, some things just cannot be done alone.
I think that's really where, because I have a lot of the same like mentality as you, where it's like I hate to lose. I'm super competitive, and I don't mind working, and I also I don't know how to sleep. I don't know how to rest really, so I keep going. But where I will run into issues where I just don't have the skills, right? But as long as you keep the mission out there and you're driving towards like the betterment of sumo, like educating people about weight classes, or in my particular situation, it's about the history of sumo pre-World War II. That's our new focus right now as we try to like honor the past as we celebrate the future. But having all these people around me, and Minkin kind of has an idea of it. We have like this like Avengers assemble where there's so many different people with so many different skills that are all like joining me for the mission of trying to like spread the word of sumo. Even though Minkin's all the way on the
I
other side
kind
of
of
the world,
ran away
he's
from
still
the whole
supporting.
thing.
He's still supporting. So as we were speaking about like British sumo and then your title in the federation, can you speak to where that's at?
What do you mean? Where's that? Where's
Uh,
that at?
The British
So-
Sumo Union, like the
Basically, you're
history-
wanting to
history.
give me to give you the quote unquote tea.
well, hear me out. I am the stereotypical American where I am ignorant to a fault. I have a heart of gold, ignorant to a fault, and I don't know what I don't know, and my foot promptly goes into my mouth quite frequently. And I don't know anything about the British Sumo Federation. Like, I don't know.
Union. British Sumo
see,
Union.
I'm once again foot
There is a
in my mouth.
federation and union. Well, listen, mate, that's completely understandable. We all can't know everything about everything, do you know what I mean? Until such times where you find yourself in some branch on the tree that happens to connect with that, i.e. Mencken was your source here, and it led to sort of finding some stuff out that was intriguing to think, right, well, what is exactly going on here? And I'm happy to share it. I'm absolutely happy to share it. Well, it leads me back. I'll start from the start, but I'll definitely try and keep it as short as I can, because boy, is that a long story. And I would like to also be fair with it as well, and not just go on the attack to people either, do you know what I mean? Because the time for that is over. Like, I have played my part in even that, but see with things now, the time for that is over. So in a nutshell, I joined Sumo, and as I told you, I went to Derby in England to do my training, and there was like a club in Doncaster with Adam Lloyd, who has been quite successful in amateur sumo and quite dedicated for years to push sumo and work with sumo, and so have a lot of guys that I could mention by name. But before I go through a list of 30 guys, in a nutshell, there was a few years at the time when I started being involved in sumo, and the president of the British Sumo Federation was Steve Pateman. And at the time, I had so much respect for Steve. I cared deeply about what he thought and what he said. And I listened to him, and he fills your head with that sort of stuff, so he does. And I know that he's just trying to give his fighters confidence and stuff like that, but it definitely inflates some people's egos to the wrong way. And the way he goes about it definitely hinders your ability to train and stuff, which I'll make clear, and it'll make more sense in a wee minute by what I said there. So going up back and forth, up and down, you want to go down and train, and I started to notice just some things about the training methods, that there was a lack of training methods, really. It was very just grab, push, scream at people, everybody fight. I noticed some organisational problems, then money problems, then just problems. There seemed to be a problem with everything, and see, when there wasn't a problem, it looked like there was a secret being kept. And there was very gatekeeper manoeuvres going on about what information was going to who. People were talking and realising they were being told different things about the same situation. So somebody had to have been lied to. So that started to create some tension within the organisation. And about it was before the first Scottish Open. About 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago now, I had just had enough of like all the lying and the crap and all the things that happened. Again, if you guys want to ask me any questions about what sort of lies are that, you feel free to do that. But I'm obviously just trying to shuffle you through the story here.
Yeah, keep going.
So after all the crap that was happening, there was a lot of back and forth, just stuff going on, do you know what I mean? And I had built sumo quite strongly in Scotland, and I just felt as if as well we were being looked at as just another area. Do you know what I mean? We weren't being respected as Scottish and as Scotland, and see that's a very dangerous game to play with Scottish people. It's a very dangerous game to play because we're extremely prideful. So especially when people care about that sort of thing, it really starts to affect. So it was even affecting my team as well. So between that and all the lies and the stuff that was going on, I decided I wanted to pull away. And pull Scotland away, so I requested to Steve Pateman if he could delete my wrestlers from his website, because I didn't want any more involvement and delete their pictures and stuff like that. Because there was a lot of stuff even going on with that, like a lackluster website which it was being offered to be helped advance and it was refused. Organisation was offered to offer help with organising tournaments, events, trying to get funding. I, at one point, had a sponsor for the first Scottish Open who helped fund that. And that sponsor actually had went to Steve Pateman before me. And Steve Pateman's weird behaviour and reluctance to share certain information in that weirded him out, and he moved on and contacted me.
Okay.
And that is literally what helped the Scottish Open be such an elevated competition, or that wouldn't have happened the way it did first time around. Beyond that, like pretending there's a board when there's not a board. There isn't actually a board, but pretending there is, and you're going to contact the board and ask them their opinion and come back 2 days later and say the board said no.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Like I had built sumo to be as strong as England up here in Scotland, and I was refused to call Clam Sumo Sumo Scotland, because like Judo Scotland under British Judo, I wanted it to be Sumo Scotland. Was refused at the time, still had that level of respect. I said okay, called it Clam Sumo.
Okay.
And that's why, see, when I did pull Scotland away, we changed it to Clan Sumo Scotland. Oh no, that said Gubra on it, and we changed it to Clan Sumo Scotland. And the other hoodies before we did that say Gubra there instead of Scotland, which is Scots Gaelic for forever. So there wasn't, like, at times there wasn't respect, and we didn't listen and just like bowed our heads out of respect and just did what we were told anyway. This was a long time coming, because before I even came on the scene, there was major problems, like within pockets of time, like, you know, Sharon Alexander, the heaviest sportswoman who ever lived. She's got a Guinness World Record. She was a British female sumo wrestler for Steve Pateman. They are not in good terms. She's now a board member for the British Sumo Union, and she actually done a podcast with me that's unreleased right now, where she delves into the lack of training and hindrance, and how she actually picked up injuries to her body due to the lack of training, being able to do the right things to keep herself protected based on her body type, etc. Things that a high-level coach is supposed to do, and we delve deep into that, so we do. So again, these are the sort of things that were going on. No bank account. Won't let him see a bank account. Where's it going? The PayPal, when you pay for my washes and stuff, was direct to his name. But there was no way to see, did it go, where did it go? So, for example, Mencken and that, they all paid in, and some of them paid into the World of Sumo's PayPal, which gets used to pay into the Scottish Open for a lot of people. I can easily show you that paper trail going from there to my bank straight into the British Sumo Union bank. I can show you that anytime. MD says, can you let me see that? Give me 2 seconds till I pull it up. That's just, you would not be have the phone answered to you for 2 weeks if you questioned like that.
Right. And that level of transparency, which builds the trust.
Chipped away at me over years, chipped away at, right? Travelling, spending thousands of pounds, thousands of hours, sacrificing time with family to go and compete. Do you know what I mean? I worked so hard, I went undefeated in my first 3 years of competition inside Britain as a 70, 85 and 92, except for an open weight. Just because I was so dedicated, turned myself into a machine. I was going up to minus 100, was told to go to 85, listened and did it. Know what I mean? Just done. I'm saying all this because I want people to know who is listening to this and wondering. We done everything we could to show that we had bowed down and respected and were here to learn, but just too much happened. So anyway, I pulled the Scottish people away. Eventually, after months of trying, he did delete the Scots off of the website and stuff like that. And I started to build more here. And then we were sort of still talking, but then I was told off a direct source who's also a wrestler with him that I was being laughed at and mocked because I said that I was going to do the Scottish Sumo Open and that I was going to bring a respected tournament to Britain again, that it's been too long, and I was going to do all these things. And they didn't know that I spent years making friends with people and connections and building things and learning my craft and getting the knowledge you need to sit at a table with basically anyone and talk about sumo in a way where they say, right, I know, he knows what he's talking about, you know what I mean? This isn't just some clown who's a fanboy and thinks he's a sumo wrestler, tying his hair up in a bun and wearing a giant diaper, do you know what I mean? It's not like that. So we still spoke, so I was basically getting told that this was what was getting said, that I had no chance, no clue what I was doing, no money, no friends and no hope. and I was being mocked at dinner tables and everything. I was being told so. But listen, I need to thank them, because if anything, they just made me work harder. Like I'm grateful to them, because I feel like they basically made quarter of the Scottish Sumo Open happen. Do you know what I mean? Because I was now
because they
determined
put
to shove
that
it straight in their
they put
face.
that gas onto the flame, and you
Exactly.
just burned with it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then so I made connections with like Sigmund from Norway, who knows me through World of Sumo. We are now extremely close friends. He brought like 20 athletes for me. The Polish Sumo president, Kevin Rozum, another who's now one of my best friends in the world. I just attended his 2-day wedding in Poland with my missus. We are extremely close friends. He came over with a team. He brought me 2 dojos and a bunch of mawashis and all of that stuff, and they let me pay months down the line and things like that. Like, this is what I mean with the level of trust people put in me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to show them I could do it. So, and that's just 2 countries out of the many countries that appeared here with teams. You know what I mean? Like, and then you flip to this year as well. I've helped bring Ireland back, because, as you know, it basically died with John Gunnan when he got too old and stopped competing. There was no Irish, right? Well, Ireland came back and was alive again for the Scottish Open, because I had the first Irish competitor competing in years. I think it was like over a decade. And then you've got even more Irish teams who did compete with the British Sumo Federation and we're the union, and went to Worlds there. And they've now joined us, because I'm helping them get up in advance, and they'll be attending the British Sumo Open, the British Sumo Championships and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Mencken here will be representing Wales. Do you know what I mean? So for the first time, we'll have residents someone who has an address in all 4 countries competing, which is just amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing, yeah.
So with the Scottish Open, it just progressed and progressed. This year we had a Japanese market, so I had like over 10 stalls selling stuff and showing authentic Japanese items, and I had all sorts of special guests. We had entertainment and dancing and you name it. I made sure that everything and everybody was catered to in some way or fashion, so that when people go away, they say, you know, when you attend there, it's actually worth the plane money. It's worth the hotel ticket. Do you know what I mean? I even make sure my prizes are good. I've specially embossed made medals, engraved trophies. I take all the ribbons off the trophies and replace them with Scottish ones. Do you know what I mean? I make sure things are customised. I go out my way for prizes. I mean, this year I actually lost money in the Scottish Sumo Open, but I don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me, because it all comes back. I've already proved that the proof is in the pudding, and you reap what you sow. In sumo, you truly do. That's what is amazing about this community, that you reap what you sow. Anyway, I've digressed again, guys. Let's get back to the story. So, I had pulled all the Scottish guys away, and as I've mentioned before, I have someone who I have a lot of respect for, and who I actually give credit to what made me half as good at sumo as I ended up being when I competed. Adam Lloyd. He has competed all over the world for sumo and won medals. He's a machine. He teaches sports science and all of these different sport things at university. He's a really well-rounded. I call him. Everybody makes jokes and calls me like Sumo Scott and the Oracle of Sumo, just because I'm a super geek that knows hundreds of crappy history facts. He's the guy you go to for any other type of wrestling on the planet. He just knows everything. It's so weird. Well, anyway, Adam's great like that. So me and Adam talk like that. We're really good friends. And I think that I tend to get very hyped when I get going. And he was sick of things and tired as well. So I think that all my saying stuff ignited what was already in him and what he had already had thoughts about. And he decided, you know what? I'm going to pull Doncaster away. I'm going to pull England away. And then when I done the first Scottish Open, due to the BSF, British Sumo Federation, and Steve Pateman's lack of involvement or cooperation or really much of anything, because even the year before that in 22, when they sent a team under the BSF to the Euros, we were the ones that really sent the other wrestlers. They sent one. We actually sent 2 of our guys to go with them. Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, we move forward a year. The Scottish Sumo Open is just happened, or is it just about to happen? Just happened. Seen the success of that. Seen what we could actually do. You know, when people come together and when somebody takes the lead and really puts the effort in. And that's when he decided to pull England away. And we spoke about going separate. As I say, I became really good friends with like Sigmund and Kevin, who have got a voice within the European sumo community and at the table of the boards. And they had mentioned to the board, especially when they went home, that with the work we were doing and the work I was doing and what we were trying to do for sumo. And I petitioned the European Sumo Federation to let Scotland be independent. Because within a lot of European tournaments, it's Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland and Wales. And then when it's like Olympics or big world things, they'll go Team GB.
Right.
So Olympics is Team GB, but the other one, I can't remember what it's called.
World Games.
Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is Scotland, England. Do you know what I mean? So we wanted to go Commonwealth style, and we had a lot of support for countries. Especially at the time when Adam had just decided to pull his guys out. England sumo was really still in tatters in that moment. So I petitioned the European board to allow us to go separate, and they accepted. Then when Adam pulled his guys away, I seen like, we need to come together if we want sumo to survive here all in, because it can't just survive in Scotland alone. So we decided we would work together. We would make a new organisation and we would try our best to get these, because before we done this, we had actually got together everybody involved in British sumo wrestling, right? And we had the attention of 92%, because we actually done the numbers. And we called an emergency vote because we had sent a letter to Steve Pateman outlining all the issues that I've been basically saying to you guys, amongst others. And it was ignored for weeks, and then eventually we got a reply that had honestly a lot of just snarky replies in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just really snarky stuff. So we had enough. We put an emergency vote. We voted Steve Pateman out as president. He refused to step aside. When we posted that we were just starting a new organisation, then he posted to us to take it down. And we'll have a new vote next year. We says too late for that, because basically he wanted that time to cover his tracks and fill all the gaps where he had left the gaps. Do you know what I mean? He wanted time to save himself. So we pulled away and we decided on British Sumo Union. It was going to be a union or alliance, because we wanted to make it a name that you know of common togetherness, not just federation. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we done that, we started it, we took the vote, 92% voted, and the other 8% decided to stay with Steve, never voted, didn't want to go against. Only one of those guys, two really, but one just kind of trains in his gym, he doesn't really compete much or anything like that. Only one of those guys were an experienced wrestler and decided to stay with him, and the other ones were all novice. Complete new guys, like I think within a year of joining, so didn't really know any better. Do you know what I mean? Can't really blame them at this point. So we all left, and as I said, we got the ear of the European Sumo Board, and we told them, like, we are going to do this. We're going to grow the sport. We showed them all the things that we've achieved, because by this time we had done a lot of really good things to grow the sport. And right now, sumo wrestling has never been bigger in Britain. It's never been bigger in each country. Do you know what I mean? It's never really existed in Wales. There's been a Welsh wrestler, but now I've got somebody that's hoping to bring it there, which is fantastic. And the board gave permission for us to join as a member. So I took a team of guys to the European Championships in 2023 September to Poland, Krotoszyn, and we went there, and I went into the board meeting. I had never really met anybody there before. I went into the board meeting and I stood up in my kilt and I played my case and basically said what was wrong, and I had even printed out a letter in everybody's language that was basically like a 4-sentence bullet point of the point I was trying to make. And it was a unanimous vote except for Ukraine, who abstained from voting. They didn't vote either way. They didn't say yes or no. Every other country unanimously voted us in to take over for Britain to be recognised. And that's when the process started, and the grueling process, I should say, started with the International Sumo Federation, with the back and forth of just trying to explain everything that was going on. I mean, literally just scores of emails, back and forth, just trying to explain everything, getting over language barriers and just all of these things. So eventually, obviously, thank God we had made friends with a lot of people who also could get in ears and show proof. And I've got receipts for everything that we've done and I've done and whatever. And long story short, we keep building sumo. We do the British Championships. And then it comes round to I'm doing a podcast with Kevin Rosem and Kuba Nowakowski from Poland.
Okay.
And they, during the podcast, asked me if I would be the English-speaking commentator for the World Sumo Championships being held in Poland. So I was like, man, have you heard me talk? Like, aye, of course, I'll do that. So
I will say most of the English speaking world was on your channel for that. Everyone that's close to me, including my wife, was very amazed and surprised by how interactive you were with the chat going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on. Also, we know that you're in a sauna because that building was the hottest building in the world, and you were in the hottest little room in that building.
It was 5 degrees hotter in the box than it was outside the box. It was very, do you know, after the first day, it was so bad. See, the next day, there was bottles of water and the little protein sausages and all of that, because they realised that they nearly killed us the day before. Mm-hmm. They realised and they were like, right, we better, this is cruelty. This is like leaving a baby in the car. You know what I mean? And that's what it was like. It was like being a baby in the car. See, half the time that I was in that box, I was like, this be a fan. You know what I mean? And see, any time I had a break, I opened the door and leant back out it like that. Do you know what I mean? You have to just do it, but you have to do it. And I was also on my own, whether if the polls had 2 people talking.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? I was alone, and I wanted to do really good because it was the first time that I ever had this, you could call it a gig, where it wasn't mine. Do you know what I mean? So I really wanted to do well. Plus, I knew that the Japanese would be going back and listening to it and stuff as well. So we get. So, but actually, Gigi, I also want to say thanks very much for the compliments, mate. I do appreciate that, because it's really nice to hear that at least I know that I was at least doing a good job and people were getting something out of it, and being interactive with the chat was really important to me, because that way I allowed those people sitting at home to genuinely be part of the World Sumo Championships.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Names, what they're saying, they what they said was heard at the World Championships. They had some part in that, and I felt as if that was a nice thing to do for people.
Yeah, Scott, your translation of the Polish was really good too. You were really good at interpreting the Polish that was spoken.
Spot on, mate. It's all that time listening to my friends from Poland, mate. I just hear Polish. I just know exactly what they're saying, and usually they're complimenting me in some form. Do you know what I mean? I can't help myself. I'm just a popular guy in Poland. What can I say?
So we're speaking about big tournaments. What can you shine some light on the tournament that's coming up?
British Sumo Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely can. Do you not want to hear the end of the actual story?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
The previous story. I was right at the end. You know what I mean? So it's just I was finishing it off. I managed to get through like 67 years there in a couple of minutes.
Fair enough.
And you're cutting me off at the last 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I normally do. Yeah.
I'm genuinely jokes aside, I'm genuinely at the end of the story. So long story short, we get round to the Worlds, because what's in the middle isn't important. But I had reached out to the guys at British Sumo Federation to let them know exactly what we were doing, what the plan was, offering them to come to our competitions. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Never got an acknowledgement off of any of them or a reply off of any of them for any of that. Never responded to any of our emails or nothing. Got round to the World Sumo Championships, and first they were pure. It was like seeing a ghost when they seen me. I think they might have thought that it was a joke when they'd heard that I was going to be the English-speaking commentator, because it was like they'd seen a ghost. And I'm very forward. So in the room where you go to see Magda, who, you know, you pay your money to enter your guys and you get your lanyards and things like that in that wee room in the hotel. Well, I walked right into there and I just started talking about everything that goes on, you know, right out loud to them all. And one of them had even said, "Do you think this is really the best place to talk about this?" And I was like, "Mate, I'm an open book. I will have it out. Like, I might not see you again. This is happening now."
Yeah.
So we got to talking and stuff like that, and they kind of agreed that, you know, we would talk. And I said, "That's fine." And they says, "Go and see, you know, a certain person." And I don't really want to mention any of their names or anything like that, you know what I mean? But they said, "Go and see a certain person who may or may not have been, you know, their kind of leader." And I was trying to arrange a chat to put all this to bed, because I knew that the meeting for the worlds, all the countries were meeting to decide what they were going to do about this BSF BSU problem, because it was causing a problem, because I was not letting it go. And neither were we, because we felt as if we were really it was a really injustice what was happening. You know what I mean? So, at the meeting, I found out of Joel Kindred from Australia. Shout out Joel, my brother. He's my good mate, and he's the representative on the board for Australia. So he comes zooming out the door, and he's like, Scott, they've decided, they're putting a committee together, and they're going to decide what won. So I went into the room, and I was at the back of the room in the meeting, and, you know, the certain, you know, team leader was sitting at the British table, and I was standing at the back of the room because I don't consider myself part of their team Britain. And they basically said, you know, spoke about it all, what was happening, and confirmed they were making a committee to decide. I went up and spoke to the International Sumo Federation president. He told me, committee will decide BSF or BSU, and that will be it. And I was like, that, right, fantastic. Gave my gifts, handed them with both hands, as you do to a Japanese person, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, signs of respect, as you do, boys, this is what you should do, especially meeting the president. I gave his second and thirds and one of the old sport. I gave them all gifts. I'm no stupid, right? I came bearing gifts for everybody who should get a gift from me, right? Because that's what you do. And it's not just because it was them, by the way. You ask anyone, see, when I'm invited to a tournament, I bring gifts for the organizer and his main hands. Do you know what I mean? I always do, because that's just a sign of respect and what you're supposed to do. So they make the committee, and it's Estonia, Poland, Germany, Hungary, Italy, and that's who's going to decide the fate. So after the meeting, I see certain leader of Team British Federation over at our fantastic Queen of Sumo, Katrina Watts, complaining, right? Complaining, and I went right over, butted right in the conversation, don't care, and just started speaking the truth about what was going on, and explained how, and I got them to even admit to Katrina that they didn't have a board until like a month after us. 30 years of sumo and no board, 1 year of sumo and we had a board 1 month longer than them, which means we also had a bank account 1 month longer. Do you know what I mean? Which means we also had regulations 1 month longer, and everything else that comes along with that.
All the infrastructure.
That happens, speak to them, but see, sometimes even people have already got a bit of a problem with me. I come off, I rub them the wrong way, because I don't care what you think about me. I'm just going to say what I want and think what I want. I do have respect. I know how to hold back, not get people in trouble. I don't just disrespect people for no reason, but I'm absolutely going to speak exactly what I think. And so I think that really annoyed them. I don't know, but he would explain the next part. Because every time I seen any of them, they could not have been nicer. But every single time I walked out a room, everybody was telling me what they were saying about me. Now, they forgot that everybody there is my friends. Right now they say, oh, you can't be friends with everybody. Wrong. I'm only not friends with you guys. I'm friends with everybody. Everybody is my friend, because I make sure I go out my way. I don't just leave it to when I see them. I'm messaging people, everybody, all the time. Do you know what I mean? I go out my way to maintain a relationship and make sure they know, no, I'm genuinely being friends with you, right? And that's what separates me from a lot of these guys. Do you know what I mean? Where they do like that, you know, only doing the dishes because you were shouting at them that they never do the dishes, sort of thing. Like, that's why they made a board. That's why they voted the novices into positions of power, because they're still young in the game, haven't been worn down by the bull crap, so motivated to still do things. And they do. They've tried. Even with they guys, sumo has never been stronger. So see, even if we lost this fight, sumo would have still been stronger than it's ever been. Do you know what I mean? But they'll never give us the credit for, you know, lighting that fire under their butts that they needed. So, because there was a lot of, you know, let's cover our tracks now, because they're calling us out, and people are looking, people are asking questions. Do you know what I mean? So we got to, after the Worlds, that was made, hearing from everybody that they're bad-mouthing me at every turn. I do the commentary, and I mention on the commentary that, you know, if you want to do good sumo and be trained properly, come to the BSU, listed off our clubs, says that there is another organisation, but we are superior and all of that stuff, which again, truth might hurt, but your feelings are no concern to me. In that regard, you know what I mean? This is a fight. We are a fight. We've offered them to already join with us and work together on some way, even if we don't join together, but work together on some level. They have got no interest. Smiles to her face, daggers to her back. That's all it was. So, I spoke the truth. Next thing I know, they're going up to people complaining, to people who, you know, are on the board, about how they don't like my comments, and my comments are affecting their wrestlers' ability to perform, even though multiple of their guys got wins that day. But, you know, that's neither here nor there, apparently.
Right.
But they went and spoke to somebody on the board who was also my friend, who came up to me and told me, like, they're saying this of you, and they says, do you want to say anything back to them? And I was like, I tell them this, sit and spin. And that was my actual words. That's exactly what I done. No word of a lie. And that was that conversation over. Do you know what I mean? I was like, tell one of them to come speak to me man to man, face to face, but they don't. It's all niceties. No, I don't want involved, and then I'm being bad mouthed. Do you know what I mean? I don't play that game. See, if I'm going to say something about you, I'll say it to your face and all. You know what I mean? Or I'll shut my mouth, because that's what a man does. So, after the Worlds, we go home and all of that stuff, and there's a bunch of back and forth. The committee decides to go with the BSU because of all the work that I done and the guys have done and everybody done. They go with the BSU. I brought one of the biggest international tournaments. Sumo's never been stronger. We've got sumo in every country. We've got championships, opens, novices. Do you know what I mean? We have got everything in the bag, and we're going to more competitions in a year than we ever have. I have been to so many countries already. I had only ever been to Malta for one day before sumo. Now I've been all over the map.
Yeah.
I'm going to Japan in February for the Hako Cup.
Yes.
I'm going to Seattle, Washington. I go to Poland, Hungary. I'm going to Thailand.
San Diego.
San Diego.
What was that? SoCal Open. What? Who said that?
Do you know? But see, although I make jokes and you know, brag in my jokes, the work was actually done. Do you know what I mean? The legwork was done, relationships were made and maintained. And then, so the next thing I know after that, I get told off multiple again of my friends that the BSF are sending emails to other countries wanting them to come train with them and, you know, get a relationship. I've already been building this for years. Well, you all ignored them and wanted nothing to do with everybody, but now you're just trying to save your skin. And that was the situation. Then there was a bit of an appeal and stuff like that, which they absolutely were right to do. To fight it, but it has been decided. So thankful and grateful that it's been decided, because they made the right decision to go with the British Sumo Union under the International Federation, and the European Federation recognises as Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales. It is the best situation. Now, no harm to the British Sumo Federation, right? I know some of us don't get along because we were on different sides of the fence and some things have been slung. But I hope one of them are watching this so they can hear me. It's time to come together. It's time to stop this now, right? The fight is over. You didn't win, but that's okay, because you're not out. You might be down, but you're not out. We can pick you back up again. You're welcome at the British Sumo Union. You're welcome. And I have been informed on really good authority that the British Sumo Union, and Mencken, you're the first to hear this because I'll announce this in the chat either tonight or tomorrow, that the British Sumo Union will in fact be deciding the team for the World Sumo Championships in Thailand from Britain this year, right? We will, right? It's complete, it's done. This goes through as of the election. That's why we need to have a decent British and get it on. Do you know what I mean? The British Sumo Union only does the British Championships and novice. It decides worlds. You have your nationals. Everything else is a country's responsibility. And with the Europeans, it works the best for everybody. Everybody will have such ability to grow this way. Because if you're tied under the one organisation like that, it doesn't work. But with the British Sumo Union, surely they guys look at us and they've done fantastic work growing things. But they should look at us and say, man, that's pretty mighty what they guys have done on their doorstep, and we can be part of that and benefit from that. So instead of being hard done by and sore losers, come together now and forget all of that. Let's be friends, even if we're not real friends. Let's be sumo friends. Let's build the sport. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have to join with us to be part of that now, and you're welcome. You're all welcome. Nothing will be held against you. Nothing will be thrown in your face. Nobody's asking you to lick boots or kneel to anybody or even admit you were wrong. Let's just forget about it and move on. That's all I want to do, because I just want what's best for the sport. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never wanted to be British Sumo President. This position fell into my lap, and if I didn't do it, there was nobody really at that point who had the tools and the capabilities to do it. And I was passionate enough to grow the sport where I took the role now to do this. Do you know what I mean? But even my intention is always to pass it on and keep passing it on to more people with brighter ideas and other connections that will infiltrate the sport and grow it until we're at a point that judo is within Britain. Do you know what I mean? Because all of this infighting is just going to hinder us all to grow. Do you know what I mean? And then eventually, but somebody has to be the WWF and WCW. Somebody has to be.
Yes.
And it's already been decided that apparently we are the WWF. So, like the WCW chose to do, come join. Forget all that. We'll have a great time. There'll be more A's. We'll be able to be stronger. We'll have more clubs, more training, more athletes. It'll be fantastic. Do you know what I mean? It'll be absolutely fantastic. Already 92% of original people who were involved of Weir's the oldest referee ever in Britain. Steve Pateman, one of Steve Pateman's close friends, has joined with us because even he realises that we're what's best for the future of sumo. It's not just about picking sides, it's about who's actually going to do the best. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's what it's all about. So, as of, I'm imagining January 11th, then that'll be it, because I've been told that we will be deciding. And trust me, the IFS, they are putting sumo in good hands. I can promise them that. But that's it, guys. That's the story in a nutshell. And here we are, up to here, where I'm helping organise the British, and you guys say to me, do you want to come on my podcast?
Wait, what? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. You spoke really fast at the last part. It definitely went over my head.
I was just saying, and here we are, where you guys asked me, do I want to be on your podcast?
Yes.
I forgot to speak slowly there.
You're like a good tempo all the way through, and then at the end you're like, crank it up.
Listen, I speak very slowly and clearly for you guys, because see if I didn't, see when Scottish people listen to me, they say to me, why are you talking all posh and slow?
I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. Dude, that's one fucking hell of a
that's a short story. That's a short one. I think we had on the chat, we had the whole part, 6 part. So yeah,
very short version. And to answer the question that you were going to ask me before you let me finish my story, was the next big tournament coming up is the British Sumo Championships, the official novice and British Sumo Championships. The second one ran by the British Sumo Union, the first one being a very successful one. I actually think it was the most attended British Championship there's ever been. And even if this year doesn't have a lot of competitors, it's the first time that 4 countries in British Isles has ever been represented, which is a fantastic achievement in its own. An election will be held for fairness to decide, leadership, and everybody, including BSF guys, have a voice in this and can vote. Everybody can get involved. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's going to be a great tournament. As I said, all 4 countries are being represented for the first time.
Where will it be?
Scott, what is the numbers, if you don't mind, or is it secret? What are the numbers looking like right now for the competitors?
Right now, there is definitely going to be at least 20 plus.
20 plus.
because I know for a fact that as well I will bring nearly 10 or just more than 10 wrestlers alone. Do you know what I mean? See, by the time I bring all my referees and stuff, there'll
So
probably
it's
be
gonna be
between 15 and 20 of us.
half the people there are going to be from Scotland.
Pretty much. And then the Irish, I'm sure, are bringing at least a couple of guys. You'll represent Wales because you reside there technically, which is fantastic for us because that's the criteria. And England will have definitely 10 plus, probably 15 plus by the time they're finished. You know what I mean? And in the British community, we have just took over, started building this in the past year or two. Before that, it was very, very, very stark. So to have, like last year, we had something like 30 athletes entered, between 26 and 30, because I think 30 registered and we had a couple of pulls out. That's actually a really good number for Britain, because there's really small countries, small numbers. Well, except for England, the rest of us only have 5 million people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland 2.5 or something, 3. England has like 60 something. But obviously England wasn't in very good hands before now, and the guys that are involved are working really hard to build it. So see, in a couple of years, guys, honestly, it's going to grow. It's going to be, the British Championships will be Scottish Sumo Open level. It really will. Because everybody's coming together. Because finally, guys, see the light at the end of the tunnel after all of this fighting. You know what I mean? Everybody's been down and to pick themselves up. Everybody's left, walked away, come back. It's been too much for them. It's been too little for them. Everything. Do you know who never stopped or gave in but? Me. That's who. I never stopped fighting. Not 1 minute did I ever stop fighting for everybody, and I never will. I never will, because it means too much to me. It means a lot to me. And especially now with sumo coming back to Britain, down in the London, UK, where the pro guys are coming, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about in a question in a second. But British Sumo Championships, first ever time 4 countries have been represented. European delegates are coming to oversee the election. We'll have the president of the European Championships, European Federation, Secretary General. I'm hoping the former Ozeki Baruto, who's now president of Estonia, and also a good friend of mine, which is a point I made earlier about if you work hard and you know what you're talking about. I mean, I find myself now at competitions sitting for lunch with Baruto and we chit-chat like pals. We call each other's girlfriend. That's how we introduce each other. He always says, "Hello, this is Scott, my girlfriend." You know what I mean? And I'll say, "There's Baruto, my big baby." Do you know what I mean? Try and touch his chest or something like that, because it's just the banter. You get close with these people, and it's crazy to think about that. It's crazy to think about that. But as someone who is also a super fanboy of sumo, because don't get me wrong, guys, I am a fanboy, right?
Oh, I'm fully aware. I've popped onto your channel. You're you are a fanboy, and you love the cheese, man. You're in the tea, the gossip. You're deep in there.
I'm just, because I talk to everybody. I've got fingers in all the pies, and I love it. I love it, mate. I'll lap it up and I'll live for it. Do you know what I mean? It feeds me. You know what I mean? And I just love being in about it also. And it was very much noticed. I've got a reputation and a nickname across the European sumo scene as the crazy Scotsman now. Do you know what I mean? And everybody wants me at their tournament, because I always make everybody get in the room, go hyped and all that. But then everybody's buzzing and sweating and all that, because I'm like shoulders and can't leave people alone. But like I say, guys, I just love it. Do you know what I mean? It's really fun for me. And so these sort of guys will be at the British Championships, hopefully, to oversee the election. We'll get new leadership in place. If it's me, it's me. If it's not, fantastic. I'll always be there to support and be a driving force behind the whole scene. And then we go through there, and finally, we can really work to grow the sport and build it here and bring it some respect and stop all the crazy, stupid fighting stuff, because there's no need. But I want to make it clear that not everybody chose that path. Some people's hands were forced.
Right.
Because it would never be something that I chose to do.
Right. That's how it works. Like sometimes
I feel like it's like similar to what the US situation was till recently, kind of.
Not the first time I've heard that.
It's very, very similar to the US situation. It was complete chaos, but we already went through like a pretty aggressive election. And I think that the future is extremely bright moving forward. And I think that's ultimately what we all want. But now I really want to talk pro sumo with you for a second, because you got the pros coming, and I know Minkin already told him, I was like, man, you got to go, and he's like, oh, I don't know. I know you're going. Can you talk about what your plans are? Like,
well, my plan would to be involved somehow, whether that is acting president of British Sumo and be part of their welcoming committee, even if it's just to shake their hands for 1 minute and be done with it. Backstage for 1 minute to meet them, because I'm the British prez. And I do, and you know, guys, sometimes I don't like to go on because I hate to dance the line between confidence and arrogance. But I have done a lot of fucking work for sumo, like a lot of work. I have sank so much money and time into it. I've been so dedicated and made so many sacrifices, you know what I mean? And so I would like to be involved in some degree, and see if that means that I have to buy tickets for a couple of days front row just to be there. That's what I'll do. But if I can be involved somehow, whether that's present a bunch of flowers to them, even to go backstage, present them all a wee something like a bloody pocket watch or some crap like that, do you know what I mean, shaped like Big Ben's face, congratulate them all, get a few pictures for social media, you know, British Sumo president meets pro sumo wrestlers in Britain. That would be a great social media moment.
If you need a translator, we have one that can really hold. He was a translator for the United States for in Japan. So, you know, Mr. Minkin.
All right. You speak Japanese?
Yeah, grew up in Japan.
Oh, that's great, you know. That's great to know. I've got a couple of people who like translate letters for me and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. And right now, I'm my daughter is learning Japanese, so you know, built-in translator one day. So, but I mean, I will keep that very much in mind. See the fact that you're fluent in Japanese, you might very well find yourself right beside me. By the way, mate. And now that I've said that out loud, the chances of that are very, very high. So, because that's really good to know. Same way, like, thankfully the Hakuho Cup provides you with a translator as well. They ask you, you need a translator, because I'm like, oh no, so I don't know if I can video chat my daughter through the night.
So I'm gonna change the topic a little bit. So the Hakuho Cup, are you taking a team to the Hakuho Cup? Oh.
Yes. So I go
as Scotland or UK?
Scotland.
So
I got a personal invite from the board for the Hakuho Cup, because I made friends with Hoshi Ikari. He's a former Mongolian judo guy who got in some the mix of that match fixing scandal.
What's his name?
Hoshi Ikari.
Hoshi Ikari.
Hoshi Ikari. He's Mongolian. Quite a slim wrestler. Got up to judo. He was Hakkaku was his oyakata. He was in Hakkaku Bear. He left a few years ago, but he's still really good friends with Kakeru. Good friends with Hakuho, and looks to Hakkaku as a father, and Hakkaku still looks at him as a son. So I'm told. And that might seem to be the case, because I spoke to him for 5 minutes, and I do him some favours sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like when it's like English stuff or post stuff for him or whatever. Do you know what I mean? We're quite friendly. And he says to me, "Do you want me to get you an invite for the Hakuho Cup?" And I was like, "Aye." You know what I mean? What kind of stupid ass question is that? Oh no, thanks, I'm alright. Opportunity to go to Japan and meet the greatest sumo wrestler who's ever lived. Oh nah, that's alright. I'll be too bashful. No, shut up. You know what I mean? So, Hikari, I'm not telling you to shut up, mate. I wasn't saying that. You start sumo wrestlers, you know what I mean? Calm down. So literally the next day, I got an email for the Hakuho Cup committee board with the details, and unfortunately, I couldn't get a team together in time last year, so I couldn't go. And I emailed them and sincerely apologised that they had said good enough to include me, and I couldn't even go. And they says to me, "No, man, it's an open invite. Come any year you want." because you've been like recommended. You see, Carrie phone Hakuho, told him about me and what I do. So Hakuho told the board to send me an invite, which I just think is so crazy. And, like, luckily me and him were texting, so he couldn't hear the squeal when I read it. You know what I mean? And I can't squeal when I try, so imagine how amazing that is that happened on its own. Do you know what I mean? Some time passes, and then obviously I'm friends with Baruto. Baruto has an old school friend who now lives in Britain, George Silkin, whose son is one of my students who's turning pro and joining Minato Bea to replace Kinojo, who also will be at the British Championships. Because he's at Japan for Christmas, coming back for a while, and then when he moves over there again, that's him. He's there forever.
Because what I was reading was once he graduates, he's going to join, right?
That's at the end when basically school ends in the summer holidays this year. He leaves forever. But I think he's actually finishing school over there, because I was writing. I had a lot of involvement in correspondence with delegates and MPs and stuff to get him funding and any help that he could. But I must say this: his dad has paid nearly everything off his own back, supported his son like no other. Like, honestly, like, never had much of a dad on the scene when I was a boy, but see, if I had a dad on the scene, his father is a bloody father that I would want to be mine. I've got so much time and respect for George, so much time. So shout out to you, George. You're one of the world's greatest fathers, and the dedication and support you show your children is near unmatched, and it inspires me to be a better father, mate, and I hope you know that. So he obviously was instrumental in making that happen. He got him involved with me. I got him involved in going to a junior European Championships with his son. I made it happen. It was too late to join, but I pulled some strings with some connections, and I got him a late entry. He got involved in that. We got to speaking. I says, is your kids interested in the Hakuho Cup? I can't really get a team because, again, I've told you guys, although the scene is really strong, we're still not at the point where, we've got 30 clubs with youth sections and all that. We do have youths, but none that's got like a couple of grand to go to Japan either. Right. So, he said aye, because he does everything in his power to give out everything that his sons want to do and make their dreams come true. And my oldest son, who does sumo, is too old. He's over 16. He couldn't do it even if I wanted him to. I got the invite after he was already 16 and all. So I asked the Hakuho Cup, do we need a full team of 5? They said no, bring as many as you want. So we're taking a team of 2. Because we have 2 strong players who are capable. Me and their dad George will be going as the coaches, myself as the head coach. I'm very excited about it. I've never been to Japan. I'm quite giddy. I'm also not a great traveller, so as a big strong man and gritty and mud covered that I am, I happen to really love my wife and kids and do not like being away from them at all, ever. And it does stuff to me where I can't eat for like the first couple of days I go anywhere. I lose weight. Like, literally, I make sure I try and put 2 or 3 kilos on before I go anywhere because I know I'm going to lose that. And then maybe after day 3, I do relax a bit and then I'm okay. My appetite starts to come back. But usually when you go these places, you're there 2 days, maybe 3 at a push. So by the time I'm going home is by the time my appetite comes back. Right. I'll be in Japan for nearly a week. Yeah. But this is such a huge opportunity. You would be crazy to turn it down. And I have been gratefully helped as well from George as well, and had great aid and help, who without him I wouldn't actually be able to go either. So I owe a lot to George. And again, I just can't emphasise the respect and love I have for the man. We've become really great friends. And so we are now planning on going to the Hakuho Cup. I'm going to meet all these pros. I'm going to meet Hakuho. I'm going to say to Hikari, can he ask to mention to Hakuho, the guy in the kilt from Scotland, and speak to him. He's the president of British Sumo. Can we speak to Kaku? If I can't, can I speak to any pro who might be going on the tour? Do you know what I mean? And I'll play, guys, as I always say, I'm really good at playing the Game of Thrones without stabbing people in the back. Do you know what I mean? And I added that bit on. I used to say I'm really good at playing the Game of Thrones, but I didn't want people to take that as I'm really good at stabbing people in the back and effing people over. I'm really good at the Game of Thrones. I'm Ned Stark without getting his head chopped off. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I managed to navigate well, and I think it's just because I'm just genuinely nice to people and genuinely want to see people do well and help them do that. And I think people see that. So, the Hackle Cup's coming, and I'm hoping that I can, like rub shoulders with the right people and talk to them and mention us and get some t-shirts out, and you know what I mean. The fully Minato Beer, there'll be Minato people who will be coming involved. Every wrestler in Minato Beer has a Clan Sumo Scotland t-shirt, and they'll get a British Sumo Union one. Do you know what I mean? Then. Like I'll make sure that we are known, and like I've got other involvement and all. Like so, some stables do know is like Sekai Gawa Bear. When that wrestler died, he fundraised and paid for his funeral. So I've still got an invite to visit their stable as well. So that's really good. So I'm hoping that we can squeeze a lot in to Japan because we're only there 6 days as well, and we need to do stuff for Nicholas, who's going to be living there permanently, and. What's most important when we go there is the kids.
That's right.
So I would say me and George have maybe got a day and a half all in hours worth to actually enjoy ourselves, and we're more than happy with that because, as I said to these guys, it's all about the kids, and my enjoyment is secondary. And I swear I could go to Japan, walk 2 miles outside the airport, walk back, and be just so happy that I was in Japan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
This is like JJ last year, right?
JJ
JJ had been planning to go to Japan since he was like 18 and finally got to go 20 years later. Well, 18 years. 18 years later. sorry, JJ. I completed your age.
Started hitting me with numbers. I was like, I don't think that's true, but fuck, am I that old? Damn.
Do you know how many people have said to me, "Oh, it's sumo and all that," and I tell them what I do, and then after they go over the shock, they're like, "Have you been to Japan?" And I just say aye. Because, see, sometimes when I said no, they looked at me weird, like, "Oh, come on, bro, you've never even been to Japan." And I'm like, that's your biggest concern? You know what I mean? Like, come on. That's what you're judging me based on? So, and now I just say, aye, of course, aye, and I'm getting back next year and the year after that and all, know what I
mean? Oh, man. All right. I mean, we kind of hit a little bit of everything, right? We talked about the BSU, right? And which is thank you for dropping that knowledge, because Minkin might know a lot more. I guess that's just the truth of the matter. Minkin knows more than me. But I was completely ignorant and didn't know. I didn't know. But I was also trying real hard not to put my foot in my mouth. I'm trying real hard not to do that. So I just...
Oh, no, see with me, I don't mean to interrupt you, JJ, but I do want to say to you, mate, that see with me, shoot straight. And it doesn't matter if your foot goes in your mouth, because I don't care about stuff like that, because then we can clear the air about it anyway. Like, I'm very cut and dry, very shoot for the hip. And I love some banter as well. There's nothing I love more than a good slagging match as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very straight to the point. My missy says it's like my biggest quality and my biggest fault. Do you know what I mean? Because like she's non-confrontational. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not confrontational. Well, with me she is, of course. What wife isn't? But wait, like she's non-confrontational, and my missus actually tells me off when I start to say something to somebody, because she knows what I'm about to do and she can't handle it. She can't. Don't Scott. She needs to like bend over, like, oh, my stomach can't take it. Don't say, please don't say anything. Just let me walk away and then say something. And I don't. I just like let rip. You know what I mean? I'll just like aye. So don't worry about that, mate. You just speak your mind anytime, brother.
I'm known for putting my foot in my mouth. Actually, I was known for putting my foot in my mouth talking about the situation of finances in European sumo. And you called me out on that on the internet. So I've already lived with my foot in my mouth.
Wait,
I just try to limit how much I do it.
When did that
I'm on a strict diet of one foot.
When we were talking about on our podcast, when we were talking about like a lot of European countries have government backing for sumo.
Well, the way I said it is that
right.
all Europe, like I completely, once again, ignorant American dude here.
I don't think that was foot in your mouth. I think that was you just genuinely didn't know. Was basing your opinion on what information you had. And like I say, you can't know if you haven't been told or aren't in the know about something. And these subjects are also interesting topics. So I mean, you try and work with what you've got, mate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You do try and work with what you've got, and so I understand that. I was just trying to make sure people knew that within European sumo, the funding does play a huge part in the difference of levels in a lot of countries, i.e. Ukrainians get prizes if they come home with medals. Right. Russians, even though they're banned right now because of the war, they get paid to practice, they get paid to train, they get paid if they win like professionals, you know what I mean? Russia sinks a lot of money into sumo. They do it to a very high level. Right now, Ukraine's winning all the European gold medals because Russia's banned, put it that way. Know what I mean? Ukraine was used to being the silver sister. Know what I mean?
Silver sister, yes.
Know what I mean? Now they want to be goldies. So, and like I say, but no harm to Ukraine. The guys work hard. They're in a war. They're trying really hard. Again, I'm not taking away from anybody. Right. Some people have got really good pairs with their athletes. Some people get funding for their government. Some people get prize money. Some people get nothing. Right. So, like in the UK right now, we get nothing. Right. Absolutely nothing. And can't get anything for another while yet, especially with being slowed down with this political battle. Because we were, a year ago, nearly joining British wrestling. It's a wrestling form seen under as a British form of wrestling, sumo, and couldn't join because of this political unrest. And they searched it up and seen the BSF's terrible website and seen that this is just clearly not on a level yet. This is very niche, very small, very unkept well. And even now where they've changed their website, it's not much to write home about, I must say. Do you know what I mean? It's not what I would do. We've got one in development right now, obviously, which is paused because of Christmas, but it's not really up to par. Take that an offence if they want. I don't really care. But it's not. You know what I mean? You need to be high level if you want respect in these sports.
Hell yeah. Right.
So that, mate, was just, with you, it was just a correction. It was just making sure that the facts were out there, that I just wanted people to know, listen, by the way, guys, don't think that we're all just crap. I mean, we're crap. We are crap. But I don't think we would be that crap if there wasn't all this funding for some people and not us. But you have to start somewhere. And like Poland, for example, Poland was in the same situation as Scotland is right now 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And now they've got the only professional built dojo outside of Japan with the roof and all of that, because Brazil technically has one as well.
Yes, they do. And I man, Brazil is so close, but yet so far.
I mean, it's quite far. What is it, like a 10-hour plane ride?
Yeah. It's about as far as the UK is from me right now, which is wild. Because
it's a 17-hour journey for me to get to Japan.
Yeah. Are you stopping off
from here to London? UAE? Then wait on a flight to Japan, fly from London to China, then China to Japan. So I need to get like 3 planes there and 3 planes back as well.
Oh, that's terrible. I think when we went to Japan, it was 2 flights. For some reason, you start in San Diego, you fly to Boston, and then you go to Japan, which makes no sense. It makes no sense. But it is what it is. Do you have anything that you want to add here?
Our socials.
Yeah.
Where can we watch where can we watch the British Sumo Nationals?
Yeah.
Live stream.
Right. So first I would say that although my followers who might be watching this because they follow in World of Sumo, I realised that the channel went quiet for a while. The reason that happened was not only was I very busy trying to maintain all of these things. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
I was just going to say, you suddenly disappeared from my screen. I've just been really busy trying to build sumo here and stuff like that, and YouTube also came after me for broadcasting the World Sumo Championships because they just did not believe that I was the genuine commentator and wasn't stealing the stream and commentating over it. So they literally cut down my full YouTube channel, and I couldn't post, I couldn't comment, I couldn't do anything. Now I've finally won that fight and got my channel back. So after the new year, videos and professional sumo videos will be coming back full force. Check out British Sumo if you're interested in amateur sumo, because things are on the rise and the growth. If you want to check out the British Sumo Championships, you will be able to view that through the British Sumo Union YouTube channel, and then highlights through World of Sumo as well on both channels. Then highlights and all sorts of stuff will be posted everywhere. Even if you don't catch it, you won't miss it. I'll make sure of that personally.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Bring us back, JJ.
Never effort to the max. Sumo wrestling, no tracks. JJ and making just relax. Life unfolds with chillax. Legend falls and strides. Sumo tales bringing lives. We just chat, no surprise. Lost in stories that thrive. No edits, no fuss. Sumo tales just for us. In this groove we trust. It's the Lazy Talkers Bus.